So no principal vacations. Okay, it is 6:01. I will call the meeting to order. As soon as I can get my internet working. Just a moment, it's getting there, I think.
Questions from the board.
Yeah. Okay. I'm leaving. Okay, is there any comments or questions from the floor?
Yes.
Yes,
Let's see, yes.
please. Yes, we can push your up a little closer so we can all hear you.
And then my question was, I know I noticed the sign that was outside, do I have 5 minutes and then cut off, or would it be possible to get a few more since there's nobody else speaking this evening?
We keep it consistent because if anybody else did come in, then they say, well, you gave somebody 7, why don't I get some? So,
And it's recorded, so people.
yep,
Okay, well, I'll talk fast, and if I'm still speaking, feel free to cut me off. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I think everybody knows who I am. I had the opportunity to teach math in high school this past year, teaching geometry, applied geometry, and AIS algebra. At some point this evening, you will be discussing my letter of resignation from my position. Please know that this letter is not something that that I wanted to write, but was forced into instead of having a termination on my record. Well, I know that I've been the topic of much discussion this past school year. I'm going to take a few minutes to let you know how my school year went. And unfortunately, has been a lot of misinformation said about me throughout the entirety of the school year. To be honest, I never imagined that I would be here at this point. A year ago, I was completely excited to have the opportunity to teach here at Canajoharie. This is my hometown, the school district I went to where my kids go to school. It's where I look forward to teaching for the rest of my career. At the start of the school year, when we had our first superintendent conference day, I found out that I'd never been added to the school email list and wasn't receiving any emails intended for the staff. Well, that was rectified in a day or two. Took until the second day of classes to be added to the high school email list, which was a hell of a welcome for a new teacher. During my interview over the summer, I asked, for lack of a better term, what textbook, shows my age, was used in the math department. And I was told that the department used something called e-math instruction and would be given a username and login should I be hired. When I was hired, I got my login for e-math instruction and found a complete course outline, day-to-day lesson plans, notes, homework, quizzes, tests, and everything that was specifically aligned to the New York State's next generation mathematics standards. I briefly checked in with a friend of mine who was a department chair at Dolgeville Central School and who I taught with before my kids were born. She highly recommended e-math instruction to use in the classroom. And for reference, Dolgeville had an 80% passing rate in algebra exams for the 24-25 school year. In many of my meetings with Mr. Bettino last school year, I was told that there was nothing wrong with with teaching from a textbook, especially your first year of teaching, and adjusting from there. However, partway through the school year, especially when my students decided not to do any homework, I was then told I shouldn't be using e-math instruction and was never given an alternative. Still, in meetings with Mr. Bettino, I was told there was nothing wrong with teaching from the textbook, and that was what he used to do as an algebra teacher. And that was not the only contradiction that I had to work with last year. Because I was a first year teacher, Dr. Fitzgerald conducted one of my observations towards the beginning of the school year. In the post-observation meeting, one thing he mentioned, and one thing I've heard him say more than once, is that the discrepancy between students' course averages and Regents' scores needs to be fixed. For example, students should not have a 95 course average and then get a 65 on the Regents. And I wholeheartedly agree with this and push my students to do their best in my geometry course and aligned it with the state standards and Regents exams, which is what a Regents course should do. and when pushed out of their comfort zones in my course and asked to complete work on a daily basis, students complained, although not to me. Parents complained, although not to me. During the second quarter, in a meeting with Mr. Bettino, he mentioned that students had been complaining about my geometry course to him. And I asked if he could send the students to me so that we could discuss them and get them where they needed to be. Did not see any students. In December, there was a very not kind Facebook post that was circulated of all the parents who had commented on that, saying that they had spoken to the teacher. One, the rest I never heard from. One of the biggest misconceptions that was put forth about me last year was an issue of a local final versus a Regents exam. When I found out that the previous geometry teacher gave both a local final and a Regents exam and split the final average up into 10% of the Regents grade and 10% of the final exam, I was confused. This is not something that we had done when I taught before my kids were born in my last district, and it was not something that made sense to me. I spoke with former math teachers, parents who had those students in my class, and kids who had taken the Regents courses, as well as a few students, those who were in my courses and those who were not in my courses. And a lot of people agreed with me that it didn't make sense to have both a local final and a Regents exam, since it would take away from studying for that Regents exam to administer a local final. In the third quarter, I went to guidance to discuss changing this, and it was immediately reamed out by one of the guidance counselors, who told me, in short, it was foolish to get rid of the local final, and it wasn't something that the school did, but could not provide me with reasons why. Everything on hold until I consulted with Carolyn Adams, who was my mentor, and Caroline Hammonds, who was my co-teacher for applied geometry, but who became a very good mentor for my geometry course as well. We discussed it and we gave some pros and cons, and they came to the conclusion that we did not have to give a local final in geometry, since this is a course that I was teaching. Please keep in mind that this was the third quarter. Again, I went down to guidance. Mrs. Peruzzi changed how the grades were done in geometry. We did get rid of the local final. And at the start of the fourth quarter, I told this to all of my students. We were beginning a new unit in geometry, and I mentioned to them, this is the start of the fourth quarter and how they needed to do their best for the fourth quarter. A week later, we had a math department meeting, and in that meeting, my department chair, who I only saw during those monthly meetings, told me that I was giving a local final, and that's how it was done in geometry. In order to not prolong that meeting, I made a note to find a time to meet with her privately so we could discuss that. That same week was my meeting with Mr. Bettino, Dr. Fitzgerald, and a union rep that I brought with me, where I was told to give a local final instead of relying solely on the Regents exam. And I was also asked if I would be okay with either Mrs. Stoller or Mrs. Smith co-teaching with me for the rest of the year. I'm not sure what was told to administration, but I do know for sure that my department chair, for some reason, thinks that I changed how the local final and Regents exams would be weighted for geometry the day after our department meeting, when I was told to give a local final. And this is absolutely not true. Last summer during my interview, I was asked why the district should hire me and why I would stand out from other candidates. And one of my responses was that no one would work harder than me, which is true. Regardless of what was said about me by students or my coworkers or my department or administration, I did not give up. I gave these students the best instruction that I could give them. And I made it, and I'm absolutely sure that I made mistakes this past school year. And what that I know for sure was parent communication. Parents when students were already behind or not completing work, danger of not passing or already failing. And I would have loved to be given the opportunity to change this, to take the advice from a friend of mine, who was a department chair at OESJ and front load parent communication at the beginning of the year. Something we discussed when her kids were playing baseball this season. I would have loved to use Dr. Fitzgerald's suggestion about contacting all parents within the first 2 weeks with something positive about their child. And I would have loved to take Mr. Bettino's suggestion on homework with the 3 strikes you're out idea. If a student misses 3 homework assignments, to contact their parents doesn't become a habit. Unfortunately, all of this advice was given to me in the third and fourth quarters this past school year. And there's much more that I can say about this past school year, but I unfortunately do not have the time. And I'm not naive enough to think that me speaking this evening will change the outcome of the school year and miraculously give me a job back. And it's looking like Canajoharie will be in need of math teachers for the upcoming year. And I'm asking the administration, the board, Do not let what happened to the new teachers. Please support them and have their back. And should students and parents contact you about them, please make sure that they have spoken to the teachers. And please give them all of the support that I did not have. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me, and I apologize that I did this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next thing is reports. Minister oath of office to the president of the Board of Education. I hereby pledge and declare that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the position of Board of Education President of the Canajoharie Central School District according to the best of my ability.
Thank you.
The superintendent's update.
Couple things, one building project, just keep you updated on the geothermal project. A lot of moving and shaking still. If you went behind the Nellis, you're gonna see a lot of earth moving and a lot of stuff being put back. Our middle schools kind of look like, if you walk in today, it looks like something out of a science lab, but all that will be put back together starting next week. So we are on pace to continue to get our main offices back and the 8th grade wing back by the end of next week. And then they'll rifle through the 6th and 7th grade wing the week after, and then they'll be back for the mid of the week after that. So the 25th, 24th, they'll be able to get into their classrooms. So everything looks to be going the best it can. It's a bigger job than I expected in terms of seeing everything kind of move from the wells to all the stuff that had to go inside the school. But as we know, it's going to be well worth it when it's all done. Happy with the way it's progressing. A lot of work being done, some second shift stuff being done as well. So I think we're in pretty good shape overall. Cross my fingers on that because I've seen it go the other way sometimes, but I trust Evan, our construction manager, and he reaffirmed me tonight again. Besides this ladder that was sitting outside, it's the wall that near the playground, which wasn't a good idea. Besides that, I feel like we're in pretty good shape. So excited about seeing the pieces put back together, and by next summer have air conditioning through the entire facility, which will be nice. We'll never have to worry about the heating issue for both buildings again, which is kind of nice, especially in this game. Just stuff to start to think about as we talked in a retreat about a 5-year plan. We'll start to dive into this in September, and what we'll do is take a little chunk each month, start to take a look at some things. I put together kind of a 5-year plan, Leah to kind of look it over as well, give me back some feedback on it. And we also, Leah's just finishing up the reserve amounts. You just see some of the reserves tonight, but there's some interest that she has to put into each reserve. So we'll have some final numbers in September to kind of give out. And we'll start to look at enrollment. We'll start to look at, what the 5-year plan would look like. So for example, I took the last 7 years' budgets. On average, we've gone up 2.5%. So I took that 2.5% and then attributed that to the rest of the budget for the next 5 years. Keep it consistent. And then kept it consistent with what we've been getting in foundation aid and the 2% tax cap, things of that nature, and kind of see what it would look like. So we'll report that out. So start to think about some things that we might start to plan. I don't think anything has to be done next year or possibly even the year after that, but we want to start to put some feelers out and a plan in place of what it might look like here in 29, 30, 31. The enrollment numbers are telling, I guess is probably the best way to say it. So for the most part, that's where we are. And there is in your agenda, Policy 31, is it in there or is it down?
No.
It is. Just have to update it. Sorry. There is a reserve plan in there, but again, Leah still has to separate the what you call it, the interest out in there, so that kind of makes sense. We'll report out the final stuff. You'll see a lot of, you know, stars next to it, just read down below. Some of this is it's just an estimate at this point, but wanted to kind of get that out there for you. Okay. And then we also, so that's up for the update. The next is we're gonna start to review policy. Yeah, if you want to take a look at the reserve plan, you can. That 2.7 million in there for capital, that's for the 29-30 or 27-29 projects, that's kind of gone. And then that 1 million, over $1 million is kind of, we still have to, I think, spend some of it because it's from the 2025 project. And we'll see what flushes out from there. And then you kind of see where the rest falls. So, any questions? Take a look at it. We'll start to dive into it in September. That makes sense?
Okay, so these, the bottom figures are the yearly.
Yeah, so that last figure is where we'll be by the end of August. That makes sense? And the figures over
So
to
what are these figures here then?
that's just all of last year's, just to see, to show you where the money went. How bad they beat up. So. Okay,
We'll have to go over.
Yeah. there's a lot of numbers there, you know, but we'll go over in detail. I just wanted to kind of give you a heads up of what the estimates look like. So. Next, policy review. One we have on there is policy 7131, which we kind of talked about last time. You know, with the tuition increase, there was just two simple changes we wanted to make on that policy. One was we want to add students must not be failing multiple subjects. That was never in there. It was in there when the students got accepted, but it wasn't in there when the students were here. And then one little piece that the policy committee came up with was just to put in on the second page, third bullet down, where it says the student shall be subject to, changing or, that's third line, to and infractions that would result in suspension. Just to not say it must be all these, it can be and this as well.
So it's a year-to-year renewal.
100%. Yep, yep. So just two simple changes, nothing too crazy. The process we usually work with that is we work with guidance, we work with, you know, the main office, and then we give a warning letter usually, unless something outrageous happens. You know, a student comes in and punches a teacher in the face, then obviously they're out, right? But if, you know, if things are mounting, we give a warning letter, we talk to them, we mentor them, we guide, you know, guidance. And then after that, if it doesn't work out, we move forward with telling them they have to go back to the home district. So that's one piece on the 7131. The code of conduct, any questions there? That's pretty simple, right? Those two. The code of conduct, there was some material in there that we're looking at with students, disciplinary action, removing students from classes. And there was just a lot of information in there, actually too much. And what we wanted to make sure that we had in there was enough discretion for the teacher and the administration to adjust as needed, right? Because things happen different ways. What I mean by that is sometimes the kid's having a bad day, okay? And the teacher releases him for the rest of the period, calls down the main office and says, hey, we just, it's having a bad situation. I don't think I'm gonna write him up, but let's cool it for a day type of thing, and we'll take it from there. Down in some of this policy said the teacher must do this. So we just changed some words and put may, because there's different situations. And that's gonna be a relationship between the principal, administration, and the teacher on those situations. And we wanna give the teachers enough leeway because it's their class to make sure that if they have to dismiss a student for a specific reason, that they can, without all the pieces in between. And then the administration teachers will work it out from there. But it's going to be a foregone conclusion that the teacher has to reach out to the parent if they remove a student from a class as well. So we removed some of the language in there, and there's one other piece that we removed in our policy committee. And it was number 3 on the top where it says teacher disciplinary removal. It said sending a student to the principal's office for the remainder of the class time only. It said the student may be allowed to return to class if by the administration. We left that out because we want to have the conversation between the teacher and administration. It might just be a bad situation or a bad moment, but let's give the teacher the autonomy at that point to explain if that was the case, and we'll take it from there. Plus, we know, hey, you're in the middle of class, so we don't need that distraction again. So I think this is better for both sides, and it streamlines it. But there's still follow-up with it. So, any questions about it? Again, we just had the committee meeting, and the committee members had some comments. That's why we changed a few other things. Okay, and then there's a new policy, so we can vote on those 2 tonight, because one isn't a policy, one is just the code of conduct, and the other policy we went over, with the tuition. And there's a new policy, New York State, in their infinite wisdom, has added another policy. And the policy is parent-family engagement. And we put this together, administration looked it over. So this is kind of just take a look at it. The policy committee was fine with it. You guys take a look at it, and if there's any comments, we'll approve it next month.
Is that included here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
scroll.
And scroll down. It's in the same one, right? Yeah.
The 671 is which,
It's in the same attachment.
71.
Oh, back up, no. It's in the- Right up there. The one you're on.
Go back.
Yeah, it's all in here.
Okay.
Oh, it's not on the bottom.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's it. What's that?
I didn't
Well,
see
you
that.
have the, policy 7131, that's the only one that's there. Code of conduct is down for approvals, but I don't see the parent.
I-
If you go to policy committee, it's in there too.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll add it, we'll send it to you, but it's in the policy committee too. There's a in your meetings. You got the meetings and policy, it's there too,
Okay.
underneath the policy.
Well, you can just send it separately.
We'll do. So
Is that it?
that's it for the policy stuff, yeah.
So okay. So we'll move on to accruals. I'd like to ask for a motion for consent agenda.
You can't consent the,
All in
the
favor?
minutes because
What?
you can't vote on the minutes from last month because you weren't here. You have to do them separately.
Okay.
Sorry.
The minutes, yeah.
Let's do the minutes.
Okay, so, I would like to ask for a consent agenda for. Oh, geez.
See.
For D through GG. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Lori, are you in favor? Lori? Yes?
She's shopping.
Good. Okay, so, any question on the minutes for the reorganization meeting? All in favor, motion,
Motion.
second, all in favor? I
Lori.
abstain.
Lori? Okay, thank you.
Okay, and then for the regular meeting, motion,
Motion.
Second.
all in favor?
Yep.
Lori? Okay, I abstain. Okay, so we can move on to bills. Unfortunately, I do have a few questions as usual. As soon as I blow my nose. Okay, starting with 68,878.
Yeah, that's the new company that we're using for our HRA. Instead of the BRI company, we're using that company now. That's the new nonstop cards. that
But,
we're
you know,
paying them.
I was surprised at the size of the two payments for 57,000. And is that typical or is that
Yeah, that's what they quoted us.
really, and that's not
Yeah.
out of the ballpark?
So instead of seeing like the monthly HRA, like debits out of our account, we're just paying basic fee now.
And what period does that cover, that 57? How, is that for a
That's a
year?
month.
That's a month. Wow.
Wow.
But on the Excelis, if you go up to the Excelis payment, that's a couple above that, on that same page,
Yeah,
that's less than.
Remember, this whole thing is 5% less than last year.
So Excelis is less and the nonstop is new to make up for that difference. And it's still supposed to be less overall for the whole year, so,
okay, it's just kind of,
yeah.
a little bit overwhelming for me.
Remember we went down 5% with the insurance?
Yeah.
That's part of it.
Oh, so they negotiate that?
Correct.
All right, my next one is 68,896 Hollyard, New York. What is that?
Hilliard.
Hilliard, sorry.
We've had that, that's one of the maintenance, companies that we use.
Maintenance for
Facilities,
what?
facilities.
Okay. Moving right along, the Medicare warrants. I assume 608 is for 3 months. But it says on the top, the headline, it says 7/17 to 7/17.
Yeah, that's just the date of the payments. That's just like the check date. It's not the period. On the checks that they're
I
printed.
think it
it
just
does
would be
say
clearer,
April to
it would
June.
be clearer if you could say it was from,
Oh,
5/17 to
yeah.
7/17. Because it just looks like it's the one. thing.
Yeah, and when the checks are actually printed, they say April 1 to June 30th.
Well, I
But
just think in
this is
the
the
headline,
title that they put in there.
just going forward in the headline, I think it should say that, just.
To have
to
the
make it
period
clearer.
up there, yeah.
Then we have check 158 for Johnson Controls. What is that going for now?
That's a capital project.
So that's just a continuing.
That's
payment.
part of the geothermal project.
Okay. And then, number 161 to SEI. I thought that we had switched to King and King, and so why?
SCI is still doing the
Geothermal.
geothermal, so they're gonna be still paid out of that project.
Remember
And
that
then
was,
other ones for the big project.
yeah,
29
that was put
million.
in 2 years ago,
Okay,
so they were part of it.
sorry, I was
Yep.
just wondering.
Yeah, so we have both.
Okay, that's it, thank you. Thank you for your patience.
That was one of the capital projects plan. And as you know, they're 2 years behind.
Yep.
Yeah, so.
Okay, moving on to the budget transfer schedule, any questions there? Lori, you good? Okay. Treasurer's report, anything there? Lori,
I'm good.
okay,
I'm good.
agreement CABV one. That's same,
Yep.
okay, the same with two.
Yeah, it's a new student, but same thing.
Full Community Action Agency, number I and J, same thing.
Normal.
No big changes there. Okay, co-teaching consultant, educational consultant and educational consultant. Myself, I was very glad to see them that they're still continuing to be able to contribute to our schools' educational policy. Because that's for Caroline Hammond, Colleen Sullivan and Michelle There. So that's wonderful. I think that they're still able to participate even though they're retired.
Yep.
Any questions on any of those? Okay, moving to Fort Plain Central School District, that's for someone that we're in that special education here.
Yep.
Any questions there?
No.
Special Ed Solutions,
It's a normal year-to-year one.
that's, I was really surprised, it's $350 per month, what do they do for $350?
All of our Medicaid billing,
What?
all of our Medicaid billing.
Oh, so they just
Yes, they,
process that? Okay, thank you. Then we have, P is, carbon reduction. That's for $440,000, and I was just wondering, what does that entail? What is that for?
It's actually the roofing part.
Yeah, but what are they gonna do? Just replace the whole?
Oh,
roof?
yeah. The
Okay,
whole section and, and that was a Nellis for the 8th grade wing, in the office.
okay, and in what way will that, help to, mitigate carbon?
Well, what it does is it, replaces the roof, so we put the solar on top, that it reinforces it, and also allows us to put the new air handling units on it as well.
So without the new roof, we couldn't do that.
Correct. And what's good is we were able to fit that in this project, so now we don't have to replace the roof with our capital project.
Any other questions on that?
What's Titan Roofing? What are they doing?
What's,
Titan Roofing for 591,000?
they're part of it, so there's a couple contractors that are built into it,
Okay.
in terms of one,
That's
What's
one
the-
thing, there's something else?
correct. There's actually 2 or 3 of them involved. One actually paying out another one.
Okay, any other questions on that?
Nope.
Okay, moving along to district safety plan. I had a question there regarding COVID.
Mhm.
It said that COVID, there's no quarantine after exposure.
Yep.
At one part, but then later it says they should stay home if they come in contact with someone with COVID. And so when it says that, it doesn't give any indication of how long they should stay home. And I think that it's kind of inconsistent, those two.
Yeah, we'll
statements.
probably dismiss it, probably take it out, because there is no stay home anymore.
Okay, but I just think we should clarify that, because
No, I'll take it out.
okay,
Doesn't need to be in there.
It's really hard to figure that out though, because you can be positive but not spread it, you
Correct.
know, after a week or so.
Right.
And you can be positive for 2 weeks, you know, after that.
Right now, it's all, if you're sick, stay home, if you're not, come to work.
but I just looked at that, it seemed to be inconsistent.
And what part was that in, you said?
Well,
Towards the end?
At the beginning, it said there's no quarantine requirement, but then further down near the bottom,
Bottom of it.
it said, later says stay home if
Yeah,
you're in contact.
we'll pull that out, if I was just in this.
Okay,
Yep. Yeah, there's no guidelines anymore for it, I mean, if you're coming in contact, there's no quarantine anymore, yeah.
okay, so moving right along to, the school lunch program renewal, anything there? Laura, just shout up if you have anything, okay?
You will.
Yep.
Breakfast, lunch, adult. Breakfast, adult lunch prices. Food service bids. Tax levy, is that below our tax cap?
Always is, yeah.
Well, just because, you talk about a 2% tax cap and this is 1.5.
Well, it's called the 2% tax cap, but it's never 2%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Formula's weird.
It's like 2% on top of whatever
Yeah.
percentage you want. So
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and, right along, fund balance, anything there? And then we have the, unemployment reserve fund. I just have a question, how does that work? What is that for?
Our unemployment costs, which are very small now. So it's basically just something that's sitting there.
And the employee retirement reserve fund, what is that for?
That's the ERS reserve. That's the one that has like 3.6 million in it right now. So we're only gonna fund it 150.
So that's to help pay in retirement
Yeah.
benefits? Is that right?
You can counter your budget with the exact amount that's in that. So if you owe $450,000 in ERS, you can use that reserve to pay the $450,000 for that.
Okay. Any questions on either of those?
No.
Okay, moving right along to the capital reserve fund, anything there?
Nope.
Okay. Equipment reserve fund?
Nope.
And interest allocation? Where do we get all that interest? I was very impressed with that figure, it's 400 some odd thousand.
Yeah, it was about the same last year too.
All I can say is, policy 7131, anything on that? Code of conduct, same.
Well, the only thing is that for that number 3, I'm crossing that out.
Right, we have to make that change. So what we'll do is we will vote to say yes with the change.
Okay,
And then what we'll do is we'll update it on this with the change.
okay.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
Same thing with the
So
seven.
that'll be automatic when we do
Once we go in, we'll change it, yeah,
okay.
Yep.
Code of conduct, anything on that?
same thing.
Oh, okay. Both the substitute lists, very impressively long. Quite amazed by that. Data privacy agreement, anything on that?
It's this yearly next.
And surplus. Okay, with that, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda
With changes?
Second.
with changes. Motion,
Motion.
second,
Second.
all in favor?
Lauren?
Lori? In favor?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. And, okay, so we'll move on to personnel. Again, I would make a,
Motion.
okay, all in favor? Thank you. So, math teacher, we just heard that about that, and she did submit her letter of resignation on the 31st. Special education teacher. We said that they
Took a position, okay, did on those. Have a quasi administrative position.
appoint special education teacher, which is Teresa Lowe.
Mhm.
Okay.
Happy.
Okay. Custodian,
Good.
anything there? Okay, temporary building maintenance worker,
That's the position for, yeah, just doesn't want to retire yet, plus.
Yeah.
That's for Fran's extended position through December.
some people just don't know how to retire.
God bless him, because he doesn't miss a day when we gotta call him in, so. He just wants to go snowmobiling in the first month.
Okay, then, accept the resignation of the classroom aide.
That would surprise me. She,
Got a new job, I guess, right?
Went to college for.
Yeah.
Ad tech.
okay.
Anything else on that? Thank you, resignation of a cleaner,
Moving to North Carolina. It's new,
we're moving,
yes.
okay. Appoint an advisor,
And God, right?
thank you, Erica, wherever you are,
New teacher this year, she jumped right into it.
Great.
it's great. Accept resignation of, I'm sorry, I'm
Point
going
like
backwards.
Yep.
Appoint lifeguards. That's Connor, Mueller and Jacob Barlow. Any questions? No. Fall coaches,
Happen to have a huge turnout for modified volleyball, so we have an opportunity.
Who's Abigail doing?
She's a French teacher.
Oh,
Yeah, she coached with them last year.
just have a question, are there any vacancies yet on fall coaches?
Fall, I think we were just looking for, the liaison coach.
Yeah, I think it depends on.
Correct.
So there's only one that's still open.
Yeah. We're just waiting for numbers, and it doesn't look that good for boys soccer. So. No, JV definitely. Possibly on varsity, but
Or no JV,
no JV definitely, that's with the merge team, possibly. You know, it's gonna close the varsity
because of numbers or coaching?
numbers.
okay, then now we're up to spring coaches, a lot of empty spots there, but it's a way away, so.
Yeah. We're fine. And it's actually not that bad because, remember, Fort Plain takes baseball and softball, so we're really kind of just looking for some liaison coaches there. And the track and field covered for the most part.
Okay, and then, appoint summer substitutes,
Just late additions that we had to bring on, but we hadn't had a board meeting until then.
and abolish the position of 4-hour custodian.
Remember, we had the 4-hour bus driver, 4-hour custodian, and then when they retired, we kept the 4-hour custodian, then another bus driver retired, we posted for the bus driver and custodian, we didn't get it. So what we did was take the 4-hour with the other 4-hour custodian, make one 8-hour custodian and 2 4-hour bus drivers. So luckily we have the bus drivers, but nobody wants to be a custodian and bus driver. So
That's crazy. I worked well for everybody. Yeah, it's
I
great.
like that job. take 4 hours off and then 4 hours in. Can't find them. So this will go a 12 to 8 shift, so they can still have the 4 hours here, like originally, and 4 hours down there. So they won't be missing anything custodial wise, and we have the bus drivers. So,
Okay, so I would entertain a motion to approve the personnel.
Motion.
second.
All in favor? Laurie? Yes?
Your thumbs up.
Okay, I didn't see the thumb, sorry. Okay, new business is not old business, board evaluation. I'm not sure what that's about.
Do we have to do our evaluation ourselves?
The what?
You're right.
Of ourselves?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what that is, right?
so we have to pick a date to do that.
Okay.
Are there any suggestions?
Next meeting beforehand.
We could just come early for the next meeting. if you want.
What's the day of the next meeting?
The third.
Yeah.
I have a,
No,
oh,
it's not the-
no, I'm sorry, it's the 10th. Okay, so let's go to
again? Correct. Yeah, before
Would that be agreeable, 5 o'clock on
That'd be,
the 10th? Yes?
Will you be mobile at that point? Thanks, you will.
could still be in the wheelchair, but as long as I'm wheelchair accessible, I'm good.
Much cherry to pull up.
Okay, so that's agreeable with everyone?
Yep.
5 o'clock on the 10th. Okay?
Yep.
Okay,
And if we have
On the
to,
10th,
policy
got it.
committee, you will just pick a different day. if we want.
Okay.
okay, anything for executive session?
One thing, yep.
Okay, I would entertain a motion for executive session.
Motion.
Second, all in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening,
You as
Yep.
well.
every other executive.
She's going, she's going.
No, it's supposed to be.
Adjourn.